Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's reads. This week I'm going to use for the tarot part the Astromatrix Tarot, and astromatrix.org on the back here is where you check it out if you're interested. Supportive Oracle cards, Magical Spell cards by Lucy Cavendish, illustrated by Jesse Reish, and it's a Hay House product. So at the bottom there you can see the hayhouse.com if you're interested. Did I show the front of it? I hope I did. And for the dice, as always, I'm using the Dice Shop. Math Art Fun is where I got them. Hopefully you can read that if you want to. I use a 22-sided dice for the Major Arcana, substituting 22 for 0 for the Fool. 14-sided dice for the Minor Arcana, with a 4-sided dice choosing the element. Okay, that being said, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. That being said, let's get into your reading. Hello, Gemini! Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Gemini? I don't know why I'm like, I'm like, what's coming up? What's happening? I don't know why I'm feeling that way. Okay. It's not bad. I'm saying that even though I'm going like, the Three of Swords popped up. I think it's passing. Three of Swords talks about heartbreak. I think it's passing by. Things might get better for you quicker than you expect. Yeah. Especially if you're one of those Geminis who's been struggling with something for a while. Doesn't have to be a person, could be a situational thing. You could have a job that you just feel is boring, for example. You might be struggling with that, because I feel like that is a lot for Gemini. Could be somebody that you work with. I feel a lot of work energy going here. It doesn't have to be work. Could be something totally different, like a family connection. Could be something that you're trying to make happen that just doesn't seem to work right. But like you're getting some extra assistance temporarily. I feel like I just need something to help set me in motion, and I'm good. What is this? What's going on with you? Temporary assistance. Why? I'm saying that, and I'm looking at the Two of Swords, and I'm like, all right, I'm also looking at the Devil card in the past, so something is assisting you. Two of Wands, half in, half. Before somebody forces you into something, I feel like that's kind of why I'm seeing this assistance. I don't think you're waiting for somebody to push you. I feel like you see it coming. I think that's what this is. Before somebody else has the ability to push you or, manipulate the situation or anything like that, I feel like you're making your decision before that happens because you know it's coming. So I don't think anybody's getting there in time to mess with you. This is kind of like it's temporary, short-lived assistance, because it is moving you forward. I mean, it is. I don't know. I mean, the Devil, you're probably not enjoying that. It's probably not something you're like, oh, yay. I don't think that's happening. I think it's more like, oh, God. And it's like, all right, I'm going. It reminds me of like when I visit certain people, and it's like, oh, so-and-so will be here in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I gotta go. Oh, look at that, I gotta go. Oh, no, goodness. That's what it reminds me of. And it's kind of like before I have to deal with something, I'm like, I'll just choose for myself. I'll get right around it. Before so-and-so shows up, I'm gonna jettison out of here. That may or may not be something you let people know. It's up to you, I guess, if you're letting that cat out of the bag. Because I feel like it looks, on the outside, it looks kind of passive, but on the inside, you know exactly what you're doing. Maybe you're hearing somebody's going to show up, or you're hearing something's going to happen, and you're like, I'm just going to quietly make my decision and move on. You're actively making this decision, but it may look passive on the outside to other people. This energy, I feel like I need this to move on. Yeah. I need to get out of the restraints. You got the Hierophant reversed, and you got the Page of Swords reversed. Sometimes I think of the Page of Swords as a Gemini card because when it comes to air signs, you guys are the support system. You're the messengers usually, and that kind of supports that in the tarot. So sometimes I see it that way, and I feel like you have not been empowered to do what you want. You've not been able to thrive in this situation the way you want. That's why we need to move on from this. This situation, while it might not have been the worst situation, it's not something I feel like you've been enjoying for quite a while. You might have been kind of living with it in kind of a life support type of way. Like, it's getting me through the day, I'm paying my bills, or this or that, or I'm getting through the moment, but I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not thriving. I'm not feeling happy. And this energy is what's leaving. Because it is, the way it came down on the table, it's kind of off to the side a bit, so... And that's an energy, obviously, I think you'd want to let go. I don't know that it's a bad thing when it happens. It actually, you're getting the Ten of Cups with the World. I don't see a problem moving on from this. So you might be pleasantly let go. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a good card. I don't see any harm, any foul. I feel like I'm confused because people seem to be like, oh, you're going to go? All right, bye. Don't forget to write. Like, it just might be, it might feel kind of weird, like, oh. It may feel a little bit like, oh, maybe they wanted me to leave all this time? Hopefully you don't get caught up in that. I don't know what's going on there. Because I feel like I'm getting a peaceful send-off. And I'm going into my new situation, but people seem to be very supportive of it. Are they being supportive or just dismissive? I can't really tell you. I don't know. They're saying don't get too invested in that if you can help it. Just kind of enjoy it for what it is. The Four of Pentacles is being released, which is something is letting go. The Sun card, half in, half out. I'm getting it's like I'm getting a peaceful, like, people are letting me go. People are wishing me well. Nobody's getting in my way. Take it for the gift that it is. Try not to question it too much if you can help it. It's not going to serve you. Just aim towards what you want and center your energy on what you want. There is a moment here where some of you could get caught up in it, like, why are they so, like, wow, did they just want me to go the whole time? You could get caught up in that. It's not going to serve you. Whatever they thought, let it just be their thing. Center on where you want to be. Hopefully, whatever that was, let that go. For some of you, that might be difficult for. I'm a big fan of Paul McKenna. The book is How to Mend a Broken Heart, I believe. How to Mend a Broken Heart, something like that. He co-writes it with somebody else. If you look up Paul McKenna, British author, you'll easily find it. There's exercises that can make that really easy for you to move on from that, just so you know. Because I'm seeing this at the bottom. This is partly what I'm talking about. You're moving on from this energy, and you could be questioning, like, oh, did people even really see my value while I was there? But also I'm getting, like, moving on from this is a very healthy, very good move for you. So it's kind of like just being thankful that it lets go fairly easily. Is just be thankful that it's letting go fairly easily. Just use it to your advantage as much as possible. Life kind of does these weird things, you know. Why somebody has their reaction, that's their responsibility to deal with. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, let it be what it is. Something new is coming in, and I get success, and I get the good cheer coming on. Good energy coming in. You're welcome in this next situation, the next level here, the next connection you have coming in. You're very welcome, and people seem to be very much liking you. The next situation is also something that does have restrictions with it, but it could be different. What do we mean by that? Okay. Sun card keeps coming up for you. Is it on the table? It came up a couple times in the dice. It's coming up again. You're very well liked where you're going. So, it's a good energy. Enjoy it. Like it. It's good to enjoy it. But there's something here to consider. Be careful not to get too excited to begin with. It is good, and it is, but they're like perspective and what you do with it can make or break this situation. If you get too connected and just love it for what it is, it makes sense why you'd want to, but like you might end up back at square one. It's something you just left. Like it's kind of like, oh, we don't want to repeat something you've already done. Enjoying it makes sense, but there's a different way to handle this where this could actually be more successful for you, even though this is a good card, right? Just loving it. Why not just love it? Why not just go with the flow and see where it takes me? I feel like that's going to lead you back to where you've already been, a place that you don't really want to return to. Another way you could handle this, it's not bad, but it's different, is to kind of remember what you walked away from. Remember what you walked away from and where it went wonky. Because I feel like Gemini is very likable, in my opinion, especially because you have very fresh ways of seeing things, very fresh ideas, and it's a very likable energy. Things that I feel like over time become difficult for Gemini, and you can let me know in the comments clearly if I'm wrong, is you have a lot of ideas, and sometimes after a while people get confused with all the different ways you see things. In the beginning they see it like, oh, I could do this instead of that, oh, I could do that instead of this, oh, that's cool. After some time they're looking at you like no matter what they do, you always have another idea. You always have a different way of doing things, a different way to do that, a different way to do this. And when they want it, they like it. When they don't really want it, they find it frustrating or aggravating. It's seeing that for what it is. It's realizing how people are reacting to you, remembering like how it went in the last few times, and where it kind of the balance kind of went from good to bad, and kind of like realizing, all right, I know that this is my thing. I can see things very many different ways, but I got to be aware that like, not to give too much when people want it, and also not to give too much when people don't want it. I got to kind of reel it in the very beginning. I got to be more conservative to a point, and I got to make sure I only give that information when it actually is going to help. And like I also have to make sure that I only give that information when it's going to actually be wanted and it's going to help. And I feel like when Gemini really starts to thrive, you know when to kind of like, hone it in a bit and just give a little information and not go crazy with it until somebody wants more information. It's kind of like finding a way to self-regulate that and kind of keep it more internal until it's going to make a difference on the outside, and then like, okay, they want it, and now I have to kind of like regulate how much I give them and see where they go with it. You have a chance for great victory in this situation, but it's going to take a version of control. It's going to take a version of control to make that work out in your favor. And I do feel like for a lot of you who are watching, you know how to keep your mind going without driving yourself nuts. Like, you know how to hold it back and like keep your mind in different subjects. Like I seem to have known a Gemini, this is a long time ago, they were very interested in sports. And when it came to work, they were very careful about what they gave their opinion on with work and when they did that and how much they did that. Meanwhile, you talk about sports, they will talk your ear off in so many different directions about so many different sports. But that's where they kind of kept their energy under control that way. When they just wanted to like go crazy about talking and stuff like that, and they needed to vent that energy, they had certain subjects that they would allow themselves to just go ham on it. Other things where they're like, okay, this is a business thing, I got to regulate it, I got to be careful what I do, I got to be careful not to say too much, I got to see how people are reacting. They were very like, you could see that they wanted to say more. I mean, at least I could. You could see that they wanted to go a lot farther, but they were like more aware, like I got to be very careful and precise about how I'm perceived and how this information goes forward, or they're going to think, that I'm just a crazy person just throwing out things left and right. You can't depend on other people to understand how smart you are. I'm sorry, but a lot of times I feel like most people don't understand how smart Gemini really is because they get lost in the details. They just hear you saying things left and right, left and right, left and right, and they just think you're all over the place. They don't think you have a direction. That's not true. There's not many signs that can figure it out. There's not many types of personalities that can figure it out. So you got to kind of regulate it so that it's more effective, so people see how smart you actually are. Going forward, there's things that have to be regulated here. But, and I feel like I have to keep saying that, if you're successful with that, if you truly are, you got the Two of Cups coming in, and you're going to see things here, you're going to have access to things here that you normally wouldn't. You have to keep regulating it. It's not going to be a temporary thing. It's kind of like, I got to do it, and I have to make sure, and especially in this subject, for example, if it's work, always, I have to be very regulated. I have to be very careful. I have to be very regulated. I have to be very, very careful. Like I said with the example of the person I knew with the sports, if you have a different subject, which it could be something very easy, like maybe you like crafts or stained glass, or I don't know, you like animals, there's something you like about animals, and you can go crazy about those certain subjects and talk left and right and all over the place with that. Let your energy vent out there when you want to do that. Just make sure you're careful on this, like especially if you have more than one subject that you can like feel safe. Like I can talk about, home improvement and animals and maybe like the history of Mesopotamia. I don't know, whatever you want. And it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the job directly. I can vent off and just use my energy there and be interested in it, because you literally have to be interested in it, of course. And I could go crazy and go ham in that place. But when it comes to business, when it comes to this subject, whatever this subject is, it doesn't have to be business, whatever it hits for you, I got to be very careful, regulated, restrained. Here I have to. Those places I can, here I got to be, hold it together, only talk about what I need to, only talk about what's effective, be careful and very alert about how people are reacting to me, and I can have that beautiful thing that I want, and more doors were open. Again, I'm just going to show you something that I've already said, but it continues this way. It'll always be that way, and you will always have this beautiful connection. I feel like they're trying to just make the point. If at some point you're just like, I just want to go ham and see what happens, you probably won't be able to go backwards with that. Doesn't mean you definitely won't, but it'll be quite a challenge to go backwards with it. That's all they're saying. So as long as you stay in this line, as long as you keep in that energy, it'll keep going in a good way for you. This energy also, like, people like your creativity, you just got to be selective with it. You can't depend on people to do the right thing. Some people you're going to have good ideas for, but they're not going to like it, or they're going to try to poo-poo you, even if you do go on this line and you keep it very regulated and you keep it very concise. They're still going to have people poo-poo you. I'm going to say poo-poo. Because if they don't like where you're going with it, you may be right and they may know you're right, but if they don't like where you're going with it, they're going to poo-poo it just to not make it happen because they don't like it. So sometimes you're going to have the right idea, you're going to have great ideas, but people are just going to be negative just because they don't want it to happen. Just because you're right doesn't mean people are going to back you up on it. Just be careful with that. I'm getting the creativity here. People love your creativity, though. Be careful if this happens, which I feel like it's inevitable, it'll happen sooner or later, not to chase the dragon. Isn't that okay, I don't know if I should have said that, but don't chase the balloon. Sometimes I refer to it as chasing the red balloon, where the balloon's just out of your reach and you just keep trying to chase it to catch it and you can never catch it. If somebody poo-poos your idea, don't trip over yourself to try to make them happy. Take that as your moment. I need to step back and give this some air to breathe and let it shake out to find out what this person actually wants and decide if I agree with that or not. Don't chase, I feel like, I'm going to say red balloon. Chasing the dragon I think that's a drug reference. It's a different thing. Don't chase it. Like if somebody poo-poos your idea, don't trip over yourself trying to make them happy. Step back, breathe, and try to figure out where are they going? What do they want? Because where they're going and what they want may not be anything you're interested in. And just even though they might be helpful for your career or situation, if they don't want to go somewhere that's going to be helpful for you, you don't want to help them. So if somebody poo-poos you, or like, even though you have a good idea, they're like, no, step back and just kind of watch them and figure out what they're really about and decide if you really want to be a part of that. Just keep that in mind with the situation too. All right, I think we're good. I'm going to shut this down here. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.